Intro. The definition of alchemy is as follows. 1. A medieval chemical science and speculative philosophy aiming to achieve the transmutation of the basic metals into gold, the discovery of a universal cure for disease, and the discovery of a means of indefinitely prolonging life. 2. A power or process that changes or transforms something into a mysterious or impressive way. The practices or the practitioners of financial alchemy that transformed the world of money in the 1980s. 3. An unexplicable or mysterious transmuting. Alchemist. Someone who transforms things for the better. Today, we recognize alchemy as a pseudoscience and give chemistry its rightful place as a serious scientific field. But the two terms initially overlapped in meaning before separating by the 17th century, just as astrology and astronomy did during the same period. Alchemy and alchemists are in fact older words than chemistry and chemist in English. Alchemists believed that lead could be perfected into gold, that disease could be cured, and that life could be prolonged through transmutation or a change of some essential element into a superior form. Their secretive experiments, usually involving heat and the mixture of liquids, led to the development of pharmacology and the rise of modern chemistry. The long route to English for alchemists began with the Greek word chemia, which probably came from the word chyma, fluid, derived from the verb chen, meaning to pour. It then passed to Arabic, which added its own definite article, al, the, to the Greek root. The word then passed from Latin to French before coming to English. Some other words derived from Arabic also retain the al in English, such as algebra, algorithm, and alcohol. In fact, the transformative liquid that was consistently being sought through experimentation by alchemists is another word with the Arabic al. Prefix, elixir. This power to transform things for the better, real or imagined, led to figurative meanings for alchemy and alchemists. The history of alchemy. The medieval chemical science and speculative philosophy that focus on the attempt to change less valuable metals into gold to find a universal cure for disease and to discover a means of prolonging life indefinitely is called alchemy. It was practiced in much of the ancient world from China and India to Greece. Alchemists migrated to Egypt and were later revived in the 12th century Europe through translations of Arabic texts into Latin. Medieval European alchemists made some useful discoveries, including mineral acids and alcohol. The revival led to the development of pharmacology and to the rise of modern chemistry. The gold-making processes of alchemists were finally discredited, but not until the 19th century. What does alchemy have to do with me? Like it or not, it has a lot to do with the purpose of life. We are going from darkness to light. Mind you, this is not some hocus pocus. Imagine the operating system, hardware and software, has always been there inside of you. Your subconscious is running the show. Let's fast forward to 2019. Lately, I'm researching the works of Joe Dispenza. He is using the ancient Kundalini techniques, but he is also using the latest scientific instruments to measure what is going on when one practices these techniques. Scientists know that the body and mind are united. You can't separate the two. All our emotions are stored in our bodies. That means the good, bad, and ugly. For most of our lives, we are living in a survival mode of existence. We are reactive beings. Our subconscious is running this show. Experts estimate that the mind thinks between 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day. That's an average of 2,500 to 3,300 thoughts per hour. That's incredible. Other experts estimate a smaller number of 50,000 thoughts per day, which means about 2,100 thoughts per hour. Yet how many are new thoughts? We've been playing the same record for years. We have the same routine. We go to bed, the alarm clock goes off. We use the same hand to shut it off and go back to bed for 5 minutes. The alarm goes off again. We shut off the alarm. We stumble out of bed and go to the bathroom. We brush our teeth. We're trying to wake up. Off to the kitchen we go to brew some coffee. It's time to head off to work, just in time for rush hour traffic. We make a few phone calls along the way. Some of us text when the cars are stopped. We make it to the office and do the same dull routines. I could go on and on. Imagine that our negative emotions are stuck in the first 3 centers of the lower chakras. There's a law that whatever strong emotion you have stored, this emotion will be predominant in your life. Say, for example, someone makes you angry. You can't drop it, and you hold on for 20 years. You can't forgive this person. Well, unfortunately, you have drunk your poison. This gets stored in your subconscious mind. Whatever you think about this, you will secrete chemicals into your body, and these chemicals will bring you angry emotions. Your stress level will go out. You will be in a fight or flight syndrome. Unfortunately, for the majority of human beings, this is our present state. The great mystics of old and modern-day scientists are both talking about the same thing. We can transform ourselves using ancient and modern-day tools to transform. Literally, the science of alchemy is coming back to life. This time is not transmuting lead into gold, but to transform oneself. The science of self-realization is coming to fruition. Millions of people are waking up from their slumbers. Our subconscious is like a computer. With any given situation, it responds automatically. Many times, the body responds in less than a nanosecond. You really can't tell the difference between the mind and body. They are so intertwined. Mystics have talked about how to reprogram the mind for thousands of years. The 5 Wisdom Buddha. Can you imagine you have the tools inside of you to transform these 5 aggressions into universal wisdom? Imagine if the entire world did this. Converts ignorance and bewilderment into the wisdom of primordial awareness for the wisdom of universal lawfulness. Converts jealousy and envy into all-accomplishing wisdom. Converts pride and greed into the wisdom of equanimity, or the wisdom of essential similarity, or the ultimate equality of all living creatures. Converts anger and aggression into mere life wisdom. Converts desire, lust, and passion into the wisdom of discriminating awareness. or the wisdom of distinction. 14 video game stages of spiritual development. Jainism acknowledged that the soul advances to its liberated stage in various steps called ganastan, or stages of spiritual development. Through these 14 stages of development, the soul gradually frees itself, firstly from the worst, then from the less bad, and finally from all kinds of karma, and manifests the innate qualities of knowledge, belief, and conduct in a more and perfect form. Here we take a glance at each stage of spiritual development. Dharma, dhyana, or righteous meditation plays an important role in climbing each stage, and the external austerities like fasting, giving up tasty food, etc. helps in supporting meditation. The goal is to reach the highest type of meditation, Shukla, dhyana, and liberation. This sounds to me like a cosmic video game that I constantly talk about. 1. The stage of the wrong believer. The lowest stage with ignorance, delusion, and with intense attachments and aversions. This is the normal condition of all souls involved in the mundane world and is the starting point of spiritual evolution. 2. The stage of one who has a slight taste of right beliefs, indifference to reality with occasion vague memory of spiritual insight. 3. The stage of mixed belief, fleeting moments of curiosity towards understanding reality. 4. The stage of one who has a true belief but has not yet self-discipline, awareness of reality with trust developed in the right view, combined with a willingness to practice self-discipline. The soul may be able to subdue the 4 passions, namely anger, pride, deceit, and greed. 5. The stage of partial self-control. At this stage, the right view and discipline starts to develop. The soul now begins to observe some of the rules of right conduct with a view to perfect itself. But the discipline of introductory or minor vows, the soul starts on the process of climbing the spiritual ladder. 6. The stage of complete self-discipline, though sometimes brought into wavering thought and negligence. Major vows are taken with firm resolve to control passions. There may be past failures due to lack of full control over passions and carelessness. 7. The stage of self-control without negligence. At this stage, the self-discipline and knowledge develop more. The intense practice of vows assisted in better self-control and virtually replace carelessness with spiritual vigilance and vigor. 8. The stage of one in which the passions are still occurring in a gross form. The stage of one in whom the passions are still occurring in a gross form. Closer to perfect self-control over actions, higher control over the mind, thought, and passions, with the soul ready for reduction of the effects of conduct-diluting karma. 9. The stage of higher control over the removal of passions and the elimination of conduct-diluting karma begins. 10. The stage of one in whom the passions occur in a subtle form, but complete elimination of all passions except for a subtle degree of attachment. 11. The stage of one who has suppressed every passion but still does not possess omniscience. Suppressed passions and lingering conduct diluting karma may rise to drag the soul to lower stages, fleeting experience of equanimity. 12. The stage of who has annihilated every passion. This is a point of no return. All passions, as well as conduct-diluting karma, are eliminated. Permanent internal peace achieved. No new bondage from this point onwards. 13. The state of omniscience with the physical body. The all-destructive karma eliminated and the Aryan stage reached. The perfected soul is still trapped in the physical body due to the presence of remaining non-destructive karma. The Lord Arnat now preaches others the path of liberation and helps seekers show the path to cross the ocean of rebirths and reach the safe shore. 14. The stage of omniscience without the physical body. Siddha state reached, and the pure soul, after destroying the remaining non-destructive karma, attains nirvana and reaches the abode of the liberated soul. Now the soul is free from the cycles of births and deaths and enjoying infinite bliss.
One of my favorite expressions is, you are the universe. You just don't know it. What a powerful expression. Does that excite you at all? We are so much grander than what we think. Most people would probably say, I don't believe it. I've been meditating for many months. In fact, since day one, I love to meditate. My intuition tells me this is true. Wherever I go, this experience goes with me. In the beginning, I would meditate on God. After some point in time, God meditates on me. That same energy that is made up of the universe lies inside of me, and I'm aware of that. That energy is pure kindness. The energy is pure love and compassion. This energy is our true nature. You see, we don't die. We are eternal. Our bodies will die, and we will live forever. Meditation is the link between man and the universe. Imagine having a URL to God. If you don't have that URL, you can't go to that website. But if you enter that proper URL in your browser and hit enter, presto, you're at that site. Meditation is the URL that you enter into the browser of life. Mind you, this webpage is always changing. It's not a static site. All the knowledge of the universe lies there. But to tell you the truth, the main key is to transform yourself and become a better person. It's like taking a shower. This is not some ordinary shower. This is a shower of kindness. This is a shower of love and compassion. This is a shower of patience. Slowly, one transforms. One begins to pull the negative weeds within. Weeds such as anger, greed, war, and on and on and on. Nobody gets a free ride in life. Everybody is responsible for their actions. We must be conscious and aware every moment of our life. Life is like a video game. At each level you play the game becomes more interesting and exciting. Imagine life throws you a curveball. Someone says something to which you don't agree with. We see this all the time. Just look at people flaming each other on Facebook. Now think that in this video game of life, the picture throws a curveball your way to see how you will react. If you react and flame someone, you get a strike. If you don't react and simply smile with kindness, you hit the ball out of the park. You then go to the next level in the game of life. This person loves to play the video game and is aware of the steps he takes day in and day out. We have never been trained to this game. We have never been taught that this video game of life exists inside of ourselves. We just constantly react to situations. We are like a ship without a rudder. The goal of this video game is to become like the universe. The universe is kind. The universe is love and compassion. The universe doesn't judge us. The universe doesn't say, look at how many strikes are against them. The universe says, you have free will, so why judge? Yet this video game of life provides all the necessary levels where you know this is a divine game. Bugs Bunny once said, don't take life so seriously that you will never get out of it alive. I like that. Don't take life so seriously. Be like the sun in the sky. Just shine. Don't react to every situation. Yet when dear old Bugs said you would never get out alive, the great video masters of old have a different story. They said you could be aware of your true nature while you are alive. Big difference. Once, when I was young, I was scared to death of dying. I was told when you die that you simply vanish and never become aware again. I didn't like that story, so I spent many moons in pursuing this answer. To be frank, I still don't want to die. I love this place. Yet, in my experience, I'm bringing heaven down to earth. Heaven lies inside of us. It's not a place we go to. Heaven is a state of mind. Depending on how we are proactive and aware, or simply reacting in this video game of life, will correspond to our state of mind. People ask me why I love the Eastern thought. Well, for one, the Buddhists have been talking about a crystal clear mind for over 3,000 years. In the West, it was only since the mid-80s that universities give a class on subjects like happiness. The Buddhists have been talking about this since day one. I'm not saying you have to be a Buddhist. I'm not. I adore all religions. There is a thread which ties all religions together. It is the thread of love. I'm just saying that in the West, we need to become more aware of this video game of life. The world needs us to step up and consciously be aware and play this game with a sense of knowingness. For example, it's a little dangerous in this video game of life when our president tweets at 3 o'clock in the morning. He ridiculed little rocket man. My button is bigger than your button. These kinds of words can lead to nuclear war. Our words and actions can either bring heaven to earth or modern day hell. Just take a look around the world today. We need to be aware, and as my friend Bill Cunningham told me, we need more respect in this world. Personally, we are all in the same boat together. We either sink or swim. We need to be more tolerant, kind, and respectful of each other. Mankind needs to be a kind man. That's the most difficult thing in life. Look at all the conflicts and wars around the world. It's so easy to flare up with anger. It's so easy to put gasoline on the fire. Yet to act with kindness in the face of adversity is the most difficult thing to do. We are all a piece of the puzzle in life.
Fine-tune your radio station. You're listening to an old station. This station is reinforcing all your bad habits. There's a signal from God and the universe that is playing. Listen to KGOD This signal is broadcasted from within. It is clear and constant. You just have to tune your mind to this signal. In each and every breath you take, fine-tune your inner radio to this signal. All the great masters have said that the kingdom of heaven lies within. This is probably the most practical thing you can do for yourself. What is keeping you alive? The more you concentrate on this signal, the more powerful and clear it will be. This is your true nature. This signal is like a magnet. It draws kindness, love, and compassion to you. It's like taking a shower of love. This love fills your entire being and slowly washes away all the negativity. This radio station is live. It has been broadcasting for eternity. When you are driving and talking on your cell phone, you aren't paying attention to life. What is so important? What is so important externally that you have forgotten your true nature? Why do you insist that the external world is the only world? For now, you might say, because that's all there is. Well, someday you will die, and it will totally disappear in an instant. This radio station will make you laugh at life. It will bring you to a place where anger and hate will not govern you. Kindness and compassion will be there. I'm not saying you won't ever get angry again. I'm saying that with conscious effort, you can use water to put out the anger in your life. Your mind is looking externally to fix your inner world. Mankind has been running in circles for thousands of years. Look at the political landscape in America today. Anger and chaos rules the land. Fine-tune your radio station. You are a piece of the puzzle.
Synchronicity. Synchronicity is a part of my life. Currently, I'm studying the 6 yogas of Naropa. It's all about learning to use inner alchemy to transform oneself. A month ago, my dear friend David Schweitzer told me about Michael Singer. Many of my chapters' names were based upon listening to his podcast. Michael Singer. My dear friend David told me about Michael Singer. I listened to a few of his videos. I like what I heard. I sent David an email. This is what he sent me. Yes, it's so practical and very relative to just day-to-day living. I really liked his explanation of trapped energy or samskaras. It's so nice to know that we can just be human, able to handle all experiences, and then any discordant energy, we can recognize it and release it. And that's what's called purifying the mind. Ramakrishna said that purifying the mind is our purpose, and our purified mind is the same as the self. Yoga Journal. What is the surrender experiment? The surrender experiment is a challenge I gave myself to try to allow life to unfold around me without struggling with it. We are all intelligent enough to realize that we are not in control of 99.9% of what's going on around us. Our hearts beat, our food digests, and our cells divide, all without any intervention of our own. Likewise, the planets stay in orbit, and the entire rest of the universe unfolds on its own. We are not controlling any of this, yet it has been unfolding in perfect harmony for billions of years. If the forces of creation can create and maintain the entire universe, every moment, are not the moments unfolding in front of me part of the same universal perfection? When I was in my early 20s, I took one look at this and realized that all the moments of creation are part of the same interrelated perfection. They have nothing to do with me. They belong to the forces that created them. All this is happening each moment is that I am seeing the result of 13.8 billion years of forces that interacted together to create exactly what is in front of me. That being the case, I decided to experiment with surrendering to that perfection instead of listening to what my preference-driven mind has to say about it. Specifically, when something appears in front of me, I try to honor and respect the enormity of its origins rather than immediately judging whether I like it or not. That is the surrender experiment. And my new book is about what ended up happening as I aligned myself with life instead of struggling to align life to me. How did your practice help you stay centered and peacefully during your amazing rise to success as founding CEO of a $1 billion public company, and also during your indictment on federal fraud conspiracy charges, which were later dropped? Singer, though I have consistently maintained daily practices, my true practice of yoga is done inside at all times. It is this internal practice of consistently letting go whatever disturbances arises within that has allowed me to stay centered through these amazing situations life has presented to me. Yoga is like a fine wine that becomes better over time. You start by letting go of the little things that irritate you for no reason, like the weather or someone else's attitude. Of what purpose is it to get disturbed by things that are just passing by and pretty much out of your control? So you begin the practice of allowing the shifts in your inner energy to just pass through internally. You do this by deeply relaxing and giving them the space they need to pass. It is very much like relaxing into a sauna. The more you relax, the easier it becomes, until at some point it becomes an enjoyable experience. It can be the same inside if you begin relaxing and releasing early enough in the process. Then something bigger happens in life that challenges your willingness to relax and let the reactionary disturbances pass by within. Your tendency is to resist the uncomfortable feeling and control your environment so they don't have to deal with the inner disturbances. But your commitment to yoga demands that you let go and use each situation life puts you in to go beyond your comfort zone. This is the true practice of yoga, and it becomes your way of life. But what will happen to my outer life if I commit myself to letting go within? That is the subject matter of the surrender experiment. What happens is phenomenal. You begin to see a perfection between what you need to let go of inside and what unfolds outside. You are presented each moment with a perfect situation to bring up the issues you have stored within, which in yoga we call samskaras, and you are then given the opportunity to let them go. If you do this each time, you will achieve the goal of yoga, a liberated energy flow that constantly bathes you with love and bliss as it rises within. So becoming CEO of a public company and being wrongfully charged by the federal government are both the same. There are amazing opportunities to let go of yourself at a very deep level and learn to surrender to the phenomenal perfection of life devoted to yoga. If you want to be happy, you have to let go of the part of you that wants to create melodrama. This is the part that thinks there's a reason not to be happy. You have to transcend the personal. As you do, you will naturally awaken to a higher aspect of your being. In the end, enjoying life's experiences is the only rational thing to do. You're sitting on a planet spinning around in the middle of absolutely nowhere. Go ahead, take a look at reality. You're floating in empty space in a universe that goes on forever. You have to be here. At least be happy and enjoy that experience. You're going to die anyway. Things are going to happen anyway. Why shouldn't you be happy? You gain nothing by being bothered by life's events. It doesn't change the world. You just suffer. There's always going to be something that can bother you if you let it. Alchemy at its finest. This is alchemy at its finest. Imagine 2 drops, one female, one male. One drop drips down, one drop drips up. They both merge together in the heart. A great union just occurred. This takes place every time one goes to sleep. You enter the quantum field. You enter the state of emptiness, yet you are not conscious of it. During sexual union, that bliss you experience is coming directly from emptiness. Emptiness contains infinite bliss. When you die, one experiences this blissful state of awareness. The wise men of old daily practice this. It is said that over time, all your negative traits will disappear into the wind. This is pure alchemy at its finest. It takes one from darkness to light. This is your true essence. The sun is always shining inside of you. We have put dark clouds that have covered the inner sun. His human body and mind are magnificent. Your true state of mind is purer than any gold. Yet, in our current condition, we have lost sight of our purity. We have all the tools we need inside of us. We just need to gather our will and do something about it. Apathy and lack of willpower will never solve our problems. One must have great motivation to solve this puzzle. You were born to discover your true nature. Yes, it is elusive. That's why I call it the video game of life. When one understands there's a grand video game being played, and you are the star, hopefully one might get motivated. Whether you like it or not, the video game of life is all around you. Life will throw you curveballs. Why? One can learn how to hit the curveballs out of the park. Let go of your aggravations. Let go of your aggravations. They do not serve you in any way. They will tie you down in life. They are like a nest of mosquitoes swarming over you and biting you. Stay away from the swamp where they love to live. Our subconscious mind has been programmed to get aggravated. For some people, any event can cause this to occur. The wise men of the past just ride the waves of life. Good things will occur. Bad things will occur. Boring events will occur. All things must pass. Be like the wise person who lives in the center of the hurricane. The winds of the mind cannot touch you there. Majority of people live like leaves blowing in the wind, depending on external events. They're happy, sad, or bored. The universe just is. It doesn't judge or criticize itself. The present-day man judges each and every moment. Take a look at the world of politics. You will see what I mean. Many people hold on to things that aggravate them for their entire life. I have friends who have traveled around the world, yet they only go to fast food American restaurants in their travels. They miss out on the diverseness of life. Whatever aggravates you is trying to teach you a lesson. One will never be happy if you don't face it and change the situation around. It's like a broken record. It will play the same song over and over again. You will get angry and mad and say, "Why does this happen to me? What did I do to deserve this?" The moment you face this aggravation face to face with humor and kindness, this aggravation will disappear like a thief in the night. You will have transformed this into something else that is beneficial to you. True alchemy takes place. One transforms the aggravation from darkness into light. This is the greatest alchemy, to transform oneself. One learns not to be controlled by external events that occur. One learns to surrender to the universe and gather wisdom at the moment. With this precious wisdom, one acts from this precious wisdom. One lives in the center of the hurricane. The wise man is the observer in the movies of life. He looks at the movie projector and knows that light is displaying images on the screen of light. Each image comes and goes in an instant. Everything changes. Nothing is stable. You can't control anything. When a person truly realizes this and practices this, one learns to surrender and listen to the universe in each and every moment. For billions of years, it has been fine without us. We just need to change our mental state of mind.
If I would offer any advice, I would say the following. Let go. Why are you holding on to the past? Let go of your grudges. You're holding on to something that is drowning you. Is it worth it? Let go of your anger. Your body, mind, and soul doesn't like it. You're getting old way before it's time. Let go of your worries. They don't help in any situation. Let go of your intolerance. You can't see clearly in that state. Let go of your prejudices. There's room for all in this world. Let go of the junk you are carrying. That old jalopy is not worth a dime. We have forgotten our true nature. We love our junk because we don't know who we are. Ponder the meanings behind these words. Are you tired of being angry? Let it go. Are you tired of struggling? Let it go. Are you tired of your lack of patience? Let it go. Are you tired of your intolerance? Let it go. Are you tired of your bottled emotions? Let it go. Are you tired of fighting? Let it go. Are you tired of blaming others? Let it go. You can let go of all these things. Day by day, weed your garden. You are the farmer. Nobody can pull the weeds for you. It takes two to tango. The next time you're about ready to get angry, remember the following. It takes two to tango. You can diffuse your anger by seeing the molehill is not the mountain. What difference does it make? Do I really need to prove my point of view? There are always two sides of the story. The wise man always sees it takes two to tango. If you give anger to a wise man, he will not accept it. The anger will be redirected back to you. This is the true martial artist. The wise man knows it takes two to tango.
Relax and release. These two words, if practiced in each and every moment, can totally transform a person's life. As humans, we react to each event that occurs to us by either clinging to the event, being repulsed by the event, or being bored to the event. Our reactions are stored in our subconscious minds and body. In the East, they call this karma. As you know, the subconscious mind is running the show. 95% of our actions are dictated by the subconscious mind. A childhood event that occurred 50 years ago is still there. Whenever you think about it, the same anger you felt 50 years ago comes to the surface, and the mind and body will get agitated. Stress hormones will be released into the bloodstream. You will experience the same exact feelings as you did 50 years ago. Essentially, we play the same tapes over and over again. Imagine you have an inner garden. Mind you really do have an inner garden. Because we don't even know we have an inner garden. Our garden is a complete mess. Huge boulders are everywhere. Weeds have overtaken the garden. It's a complete mess. It's a miracle we have any sanity at all. So where does relax and release come into the picture on this journey in life? They are the keys to removing the rocks, boulders, pebbles, and weeds in your inner garden. Here's how it works. The next time any external event happens to you, try to consciously relax and feel the event. Then simply release the event. By doing so, the charge of the event will be let go. Depending on the charge, the boulder, rock, pebbles, or weeds will slowly disappear from your inner garden. By doing so, your inner garden will come back to life. This is your true state of being. You are the universe. You just don't know. It's that easy, yet it takes time, practice, and discipline to do so. This is the true essence of a practical and spiritual life. They are one and the same. The great mystics and yogis have known this for thousands of years. Western scientists are discovering the same in neuroscience. No wonder our world is in chaos. As humans, we try to control everyone. Look at our politics today, and you will see what I mean. Relax. If you want peace of mind, you must relax. If you want a healthy body, you must relax. Struggling never leads to relaxation. Do you know the tenser you are in any given situation leads to stress? Over time, your mind and body become stressed out. This becomes your natural state. Mind you, this is not your true state. Your body then becomes wired to this. Note in this state, it's like a mosquito is constantly buzzing around you. One becomes quite irritated. Most spiritual practice says the more relaxed you are, the closer you are to realize your true nature. Being stressed out, one will never discover the jewel within. It's as simple as that. Only when the mind, body, and soul are in harmony can one understand the meaning behind this. Relaxation is the key. One may have the greatest concentration in the world, yet if you aren't relaxed, the door won't open. Brute mental force won't open the door. A person who is totally relaxed realizes the door is always open. In fact, there is no door. This is your true nature. One then discovers that relaxation is a valuable asset to have. It is your friend. Curveballs can be thrown at you. One simply smiles at life. There is no internal struggle. As I said many times before, one lives in the center of the hurricane. This is your true state. Our current society doesn't know how to relax. Even when we are drinking our beers, the mind is agitated. When the mind is agitated, peace of mind can't occur. How relaxed are you in your life? Have you discovered the inner relaxation that exists inside of you? This is your true nature. How to live with the world around you. How to live with the world around you? That is a good question. Everyone reacts differently. The same event occurs. It's a rainy day. Some people freak out. I'm not going out in that kind of weather. Some people will sit near the fireplace and have intimate conversations. Some people will get bored and not know what to do with themselves. Each one of us acts accordingly. We are the ones who will have an incredible day or not. Our attitudes dictate our state of mind. We can't control the weather, but we can learn how to control our attitudes in any given situation. We can learn to be in a constant state of surrender. As humans, we have our attitudes about our situations that we can't control. This is where the problems arise. Life will always throw you curveballs. One can learn to hit the ball out of the park. I'm not saying you will get what you want. I'm saying one can go beyond reacting to the external event and smile at life. All things must pass. The universe has infinite wisdom. It doesn't need any help from you. You need help from the universe. You need to be in harmony with the universe. This is called the video game of life. One will always fine-tune the guitar of life. The wise men of old knew how to do this. It became a part of their lives. The more internal one is, the more one will be living in the world around you. The more external you are, the more you will try to control your life. Life can't be controlled. Life must be lived from the internal. Mind you, this is the opposite of what we have learned. It will take some readjusting on your part. This is a riddle. You can solve it if you want.
Relax your muscles every day. Did you know that past traumas get stored in your body and muscles? Day by day, year by year, they fester. This ultimately leads to disease. When I was young, I learned a very easy yoga technique. It was so simple, I ignored it for many years. Fast forward 48 years. I just started to practice this again. It's very easy. Just tighten and relax, starting from your toes to the top of your head. Tighten each part 3 times. Start with your toes, ankles, thighs, stomach, and hips, upper chest, and back. Tighten your hands, elbows, and upper arms. Tighten your throat. Tighten all your muscles in your face. The last part, tighten all in one sequence, all of the above. Do this 3 times. This should take around 4 minutes. At first, you'll probably have a hard time doing this. The body and mind are not used to being in sync with each other. Over time, you're training the body to be more relaxed. Anybody can do this.
Control freak. The colloquialism control freak usually describes a person with an obsession with getting things done a certain way. Control freak is an insinuation or allegation about someone that is likely to insult them or damage their reputation. It implies that the person needs to control others is a weakness. We are all control freaks in one way or another. We try to totally control our lives. If someone has a different point of view, we try to convince them with our own point of view. Just look at the world of politics today. Taking control is the opposite of relax and surrender. Just think the universe has been operating just fine without us for millions of years. We think we can control external events. When a person relaxes and surrenders in each and every moment, the universe will look after you. One then drops the patterns of trying to control their external lives. We call this harmony. Unfortunately, discord is all around us. We think discord is normal, but it is not. We have to fine-tune the guitar of life. Our guitar is not in tune, yet we think it is. That is the major problem. We can't see the forest from the trees. We only see the images bouncing off the screen of light and think this is reality. The wise man turns around and sees that there is a projector streaming light onto the screen. This is our true nature. The wise men of the past highly recommends one to discover the inner light within. Your true nature is the same divine substance as the universe. Only dark clouds are clouding the sun within. One who tries constantly to relax and release understands this riddle of life. We were never taught this in schools. Only the innocence of a child can enter the door within. Our boulders, pebbles, rocks, and overgrown weeds prevent us from discovering our true nature. You can solve this riddle if you want. The choice is up to you. Risking failure. I've been a software engineer for around 38 years. One thing I learned right off the bat is that the program will still have bugs in it. That's the nature of the beast. Yet in spite of failure, one doesn't get depressed. A person rises to the occasion and fixes the problems. One doesn't cry over spilled milk. In fact, the software development process includes testing each unit of software. It is quite sophisticated. We must learn to reprogram our subconscious. The techniques of relax and release in each and every moment are the essence of reprogramming the subconscious. We are learning how to surrender in each moment. This is true alchemy. This process is rewiring the operating system, hardware, and software. It's a glorious process. Yes, there are failures along the way. That's how we learn from our mistakes. Yet, if we have the mindset of programming your inner self, you transform failure into playing an exciting video game. This is where true alchemy comes into place. True risking failure is only when one looks at the external world for happiness. One tries to control any given situation. One never tries to clear the garden within. One doesn't even know the garden exists inside. Did you know that when you just fix one bug inside of you, your body and mind will generate bliss inside of you? Supreme bliss is your true nature. Learning to reprogram your subconscious allows you to discover your true nature. All you are doing is removing the bugs from your subconscious. The Buddhists talk about emptiness. Emptiness is your true nature. The essence of the entire seen and unseen universes are emptiness. Behind emptiness lies love, compassion, and kindness. This is your true nature. By your conscious will and wisdom, one learns to transform failure into a supreme blessing. Remember that it took Thomas Edison hundreds of years to make a light bulb. Recognize I have a problem, and it is me. The wise man recognizes I have a problem, and it is me. Problems come and go, yet we at times hold on to them for dear life. We remember problems from early childhood. One must learn to relax and release from any given problem. This is where true alchemy occurs. One transforms darkness into light. Curveballs will always be thrown your way. The same curveball that throws you into a tizzy, the wise man laughs at light. It's your attitude that makes all the difference in the world. A wise man learns to surrender in each and every moment. Mind you, this doesn't mean a person will get steamrolled by the situation. One will be in harmony with the universe and act accordingly. The problem won't get stuffed into the subconscious mind. One is constantly working on the inner garden. One takes responsibility for his thoughts and actions. This is the nature of being. One lives in the center of the hurricane, not in the swirling winds of the mind. When a problem occurs, relax your body and mind and release it. Yes, it takes practice. A professional baseball player didn't get to the majors without practicing. He practices for countless hours during his career. Imagine the first time going to the batter's box. One would be timid. He might even strike out. Would he give up and say, "I'll never be good enough"? Practice does make perfect. In the same way, this technique takes constant practice. You must be aware and conscious. One must have discipline in a spiritual practice of some sort. If you only focus externally, this will never work. One must learn through inner practice to be in the center of the hurricane. This is where self-realization takes place. When one identifies with his true nature, it is very easy to relax and release. This is probably one of the most difficult things you can learn, but can be the easiest thing to master. An innocent child does this automatically, but as it gets older, one forgets. The more control you have, the more out of control you are. The more control you have, the more out of control you are. This may seem like a paradox, yet it's true. Consider the life of the Buddha growing up. The Buddha, or Siddhartha Gautama, was born around 567 BCE in a small kingdom just below the Himalaya foothills. His father was a chief of the Shakran clan. It is said that 12 years before his birth, the Brahmins prophesied that he would become either a universal monarch or a great sage. To prevent him from becoming an ascetic, his father kept him within the confines of the palace. Gautama grew up in princely luxury, shielded from the outside world. entertained by dancing girls, instructed by Brahmins, and trained in archery, swordsmanship, wrestling, swimming, and running. When he came of age, he married Gopa, who gave birth to a son. He had, as we might say today, everything. And yet, it was not enough. Something as persistent as his own shadows drew him into the world beyond the castle walls. There, in the streets of Kalpavastu, he encountered three simple things: a sick man, an old man, and a corpse being carried to the burning grounds. Nothing in his life of ease had prepared him for this experience. When his charioteer told him that all beings are subject to sickness, old age, and death, he could not rest. As he returned to the palace, he passed a wandering ascetic walking peacefully along the road, wearing the robe and carrying a single bowl of a sadhu. He then resolved to leave the palace in search of the answer to the problem of suffering. After bidding his wife and child a silent farewell without waking them, he rode to the edge of the forest. There he cut his long hair with his sword and exchanged his fine clothes for the simplest robes of an ascetic. Despite his father's control, Buddha discovered his true destiny. Is it fixable? Is it fixable? Are we always going to walk on the treadmill of life, where we are walking, yet never going anywhere? Yes, it is fixable. Millions of people are waking up from their slumber. The question is, do you want to wake up? What is keeping you from doing it? Are you so sure this is all there is to life? One will never fix the internal garden by ignoring it. How much garbage do you want in your eternal living room of life? These are practical questions, not spiritual questions. Your quality of life can improve so much that you currently know. As I said, we are like leaves blowing in the wind. We either cling, get repulsed, or bored with any given event. Our happiness is derived from trying to control external events. Not very good. Even enlightened beings can't control the external world, yet they can control how they act. They know how to relax and release in each moment. They are in harmony. We live such stressed out lives that we think it is normal. We think it's a fairy tale that one tries to change one's ways towards living a better life. Once again, is it fixable? Yes, absolutely. No doubt about that. It could take you 1 trillion years or more. Everyone eventually returns back home. This is the video game of life we are on. True alchemy can and will occur when one begins to change his ways. Just think, this is your true nature. You are the universe. You just don't know it. Much can be said and much can be known. There is a huge difference between eating a mango and talking about a mango. The proof is in the pudding. Before you judge others or claim any absolute truth, consider that you can see less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum and hear less than 1% of the acoustic spectrum. As you read this, you are traveling at 220 kilometers per second across the galaxy. 90% of the cells in your body carry their own microbial DNA and are not you. The atoms in your body are 99.9999999999999% empty space, and none of them are the ones you were born with, but they are all originated in the belly of a star. Human beings have 46 chromosomes, 2 less than a common potato. The existence of the rainbow depends on the conical photoreceptors in your eyes. To animals without cones, the rainbow does not exist. So you just don't look at a rainbow, you create it. This is pretty amazing, especially considering that in all the beautiful colors you see represents less than 1% of the electromagnetic spectrum. Recognition of your problem. Imagine you have a major problem, yet you don't know you have a problem. The boulder of the problem exists in your inner garden. What do you do about it? This is where intuition comes into the picture. Developing your intuition allows you to recognize you have a problem. That's the first step. If you don't recognize you have a problem, the problem still exists in your subconscious mind. Now that you see you have a problem, what are you going to do? You have 3 choices. 1, do nothing about it. Not a good way. 2, try to fix the problem by thinking about it constantly. This can lead to constant worry and having anxiety about the problem. Not a good idea. 3, relax and surrender. Surrender. If the universe has been fine with solving problems for trillions of years, it can solve your problems. Looking externally to fix your problem, one does not have the vantage point to fix it. All the great mystics talks about being in the center of the hurricane. Most of humanity lives like leaves blowing in the wind. We try to constantly control our lives. This leads to more suffering and pain. The wise man just smiles at the good, bad, and ugly. He understands all things must pass. Be in a state of wisdom. The universe can and will direct you. Yes, you still will face conflicts, yet the mind, body, and soul will be in absolute bliss. Absolute bliss is the foundation of the universe. This is your true nature. You can have your feet on the ground and your head in heaven. Chop wood, carry water is the Zen way. Having a spiritual life is the most practical life. Everything causes a disturbance. The definition of disturbance is as follows. 1. The act of disturbing someone or something. The state of being disturbed, such as an interruption of a state of peace, quiet, or calm. 2. A moving out of place. A departure from a norm or standard, a deviation, disruption, or impairment in form, function, or activity. Sleep disturbances, endocrine disturbances. Every external event causes a disturbance in some shape or form. Nothing is stable and unchanging externally. You can try to hold on to some external event forever. Everything comes and goes. As George Harrison said, all things must pass. Mind you, when I first heard that song, I had no idea what he was talking about. I believe the reason so many people's lives are in chaos is because of so much disturbance being received from external events that they can't control. We always try to fix the situation. To be honest, at times it can't be done. A person can learn to relax and release in any given situation. The good, bad, or indifferent occurs. One feels the energy of the event, and then one releases the energy. By doing so, one doesn't store this event in the body and subconscious mind. It really is that easy. We were never taught this in our schools. Many wise people from the past knew about this. The Buddhists, Jains, Taoists, and yogis have talked about this for thousands of years. Many people don't think that the East doesn't have anything to offer us. Maybe we should look beyond our tiny boxes. Why are you disturbed by the weather? I just love the following from Michael Singer. It's a great example of surrendering. That said, so go back to your question when I was talking about low-hanging fruit. That's why I used weather. What is low-hanging fruit? What does it mean? The ones that are easier to let go of. I define it as this. The cost of not letting go is you're disturbed. The benefit of not letting go is zero. You're not gaining anything, so why wouldn't I let it go? These are easy ones. For example, let's say it's raining. If it's raining, it's raining. You're not liking it raining is 100% cause 0% benefit, right or wrong. You're not getting anything from not liking it raining. It's going to rain anyway, so right, why not like it? It's just silly. If I put food in front of you, and one of them would make you feel good, and the other would make you feel bad, which one would you take? Every single time, you would take the one that makes you feel good, as long as there's no cost involved, right? They're both equal. Well, the weather is the weather. You can either like or not like it, and if you like it, it's fun, and if you don't like it, it's not. You did that. The weather didn't do that. That's the epitome of how you start to work with yourself. There's no reason not to like the wind. There's no reason not to like the rain. There's no reason not to like the heat. There's no reason not to like the cold. They're just things you decide to do that are making you miserable, alright? You just decided, I'm not the kind of person that likes the cold. Alright, change it, let go. Say I love the cold, it's fun. I like to bundle up, I love it. Change the way you look at things, and that act of willfully letting go of the negativity is a very positive thing to do. As you learn to do that, these are like your scales. As you learn to do that, all of a sudden you'll find that when somebody criticizes you, you're better off in being able to relax and release because you were able to do it with the cold weather, with the rain, and so on. They're like practice fields. Every day you have the opportunity to practice raising yourself. What part of you is disturbed? When a problem is disturbing you, don't ask, what should I do about it? Ask, what part of me is being disturbed by this? Michael A. Singer. We protect ourselves from what we feel uncomfortable inside of us. Big boys don't cry. That was the central theme we were told during our childhood days. We were taught to stuff our emotions. Unfortunately, these emotions are still festering today. We place the trash in our own living room of life. We refuse to clean up our house. No wonder we lead such chaotic lives. We can't take any of these disturbances. We can't take any of these disturbances and use alchemy to transform them. A wise man will take feelings of being uncomfortable, face them, and to relax and release them. This is the science of alchemy at its finest. One faces the beast within, and the beast gets transformed. The Buddhists say that anger can be transformed into bliss. They advise one to do the same. They would say relax and let go. Only through a relaxed mind can one enter the state of emptiness. In this state, all afflictions are transformed through time. They daily scan the body. They daily scan the body, scan their body to see where uncomfortable things are occurring. The human body is always talking to us, yet do we ever listen? That is a major problem for disease. We haven't developed the intuition to listen to the mind and body. Intuition is one of the major keys. Common sense is uncommon. The older I get, I see this all around me. We have lost the sense of being in harmony with the universe. We are at odds with our own true nature. It's a wonder we are still alive today. This sounds to me like a cosmic video game that I constantly talk about. Read the chapter 14 video games. Stages of spiritual development again. This might give you more insight into the various levels of the video game of light. Note, we're only trying to help you on your journey. We can't walk for you. Only you can take a step forward, backwards, or don't take any steps at all. It's up to you. One can learn to smile and laugh at life, whatever comes your way. This is your true nature. Only you can remove the trash in your living room of life. The highest way to let go of a disturbance is to relax. The highest way to let go of a disturbance is to relax. We automatically react to the disturbances. Imagine you're having a good conversation with someone. This person says something you don't like. Most people will react automatically and probably say something that will place gasoline on the fire. The other person will place more gasoline on the fire. What was once a friendly conversation a few minutes ago turned into a bonfire of anger. Just think, one sentence started this darn thing to spin out of control. What was once your friend turned into someone who might not ever speak to you again. They will hold on to this for the rest of their life. We need to master the art of relax and release. Just think if the first person just hesitated for a fraction of a second. He did a relax and release. The fireball argument would have never started. If the other person did the same thing, they would just smile at the situation and not take it personally. The words we use can be our best friends or worst enemies. How we react can be our best friends or worst enemies. Trying to control the situation is our worst enemy. Trying to defend our point of view is our worst enemy. Placing blame on others is our worst enemy. Making a person feel guilty is our worst enemy. When one is relaxed, one is full of kindness, humor, and laughter. One is full of wisdom and compassion. A person doesn't have a care in the world. One smiles at life and doesn't take things personally. One will always try to uplift the situation, not cause a firestorm of anger. Unfortunately, we never learn this in our schools and family. We learn how to always think about I'm right and you're wrong. Take a look at politics today. It's a rare situation when we compromise with each other. Our society is drinking their own poison. Unfortunately, billions of people can't get a good night's sleep. The faucet adrenaline can't be turned off. All diseases come from stress. One who is not at ease will manifest a disease one day or another. Don't complain, just relax. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. Don't complain. Maya Angelou. You can't please everyone. When you're too focused on living up to other people's standards, you aren't spending enough time raising your own. Some people may whisper, complain, and judge, but for the most part, it's all in your head. People care less about your actions than you think. Why? They have their own problems. Chris Carr. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. Benjamin Franklin. It doesn't matter what cards you're dealt. It's what you do with those cards. Never complain. Just keep pushing forward. Find a positive in anything and just fight for it. Baker Mayfield. We have first raised the dust and then complain we cannot see. George Berkeley. The ignorant complain day and night. The wise man just relaxes and enjoys the movie of life. He has gone beyond petty issues and watches the universe unfolds before his very eyes. Little Ricky, the dragon. Discipline leads to surrender. Discipline leads to surrender. Without discipline, surrender will never happen. Only by rewiring your operating system and reprogramming the hardware and software can surrender take place. Discipline in this manner is a daily internal practice that focuses on the inner garden. It can take many shapes and forms. Try to find a practice that can help you focus behind your breath in each and every moment. This is the starting place. There are many incredible modern day and ancient tools you can use. The most important tool is your dedication, practice, and discipline. You can't become a world-class swimmer without putting hours to the pool. Your inner practice can take place wherever you go and wherever you are. It can be done in your sleep and waking state. This is why the spiritual life is the most practical life. It can transform you into wherever you are doing. Discipline isn't only internal discipline. Discipline occurs in each action that takes place. The time of placing $5 into the offering is over. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying take it to the next level and radically discover your true nature. If you don't change, the world won't change. It's as simple as that. Discipline is fun to do. This isn't a hardship, it's a playship. When I was a kid, I loved to serve. I really loved to serve. It was my passion and world. Yes, it was a discipline, but an incredible discipline. Discovering yourself is the ultimate discipline. The stakes are high, yet the reward is worth more than all the wealth in the universe. You may think this is an exaggeration, but it's true. This path is true alchemy at its finest. One goes from darkness to light. One goes from a state of ignorance to a state of wisdom. Each moment is a sacred moment. Even brushing your teeth every day is sacred. One learns how to be in harmony with the universe. We are just at the beginning of this transformation. Millions of people are waking up from their slumber. When you relax, you disengage within disturbance. When you relax, you disengage with the disturbance. When you react, you are fully part of the disturbance. It's as simple as that. Unfortunately, we were never taught that. Maybe some rare soul was taught that, but the majority of people never were. Relax and release is the key to alchemy. We need to disengage from the disturbance. By doing so, we discover our true nature. You are the universe. You just don't know it. This does not mean you disengage from life. This means you are 100% engaged in life. You are in harmony with the universe. What better state there is to live in? I love this song, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh why can't I?
George Harrison wrote the song All Things Must Pass. To be honest, at that time, I really didn't understand the song. This was many moons ago. Since then, I've seen stormy weather and sunshine in my life. Whatever troubles you have today will soon be forgotten. As George says, all things must pass. Our lives are like a river. It is flowing towards the sea. The problems we have in life disappear into the night. Everything changes. Nothing in life is static. Change is everywhere. You can't hold on to the good old days. Everything is water under the bridge. It takes time to develop this awareness. When you do, your life will change for the better. You will be wise enough to carry an umbrella when it rains. Can you imagine that you came from the universe before you were born? You came into this world slightly confused. You have this brand new body which has to learn all about this world. Yet, your awareness is beyond the stars. You know who you are. The parents of the child see such wisdoms in the eyes of the child. Over time, you slowly forget your true nature. Society tells you to stop daydreaming. Stop talking to your imaginary friends. You're in the clouds. We get trained to forget our true nature. No wonder we get confused in our life. We come from God. The world tells us don't believe in any imaginary stuff. Yet then they say, search for God by reading the holy books. No wonder people give up in their search. Many people never start. We were told from the beginning not to trust ourselves. We were told to ignore our true nature. Remember, you are never alone. The universe knows who you are.
Water underneath the bridge. Water underneath the bridge. Now you see it, now you don't. Everything comes and goes in life. Nothing is stable. At times it seems that way. You think you're in control of your life. Everything is going so smoothly. One day, a curveball is thrown your way. It throws you into a tizzy. The next moment, one's life is spiraling out of control. You just lost your job. Your wife just divorced you. Your precious mom dies. Everything is water under the bridge, the good, bad, and ugly. Life will never be constant. Nobody is handed cards that are always winning cards. At times, we are dealt cards to push our buttons so we can learn. I love this quote. It doesn't matter what cards you're dealt. It's what you do with those cards. Never complain. Just keep pushing forward. Find a positive in anything and just fight for it. Baker Mayfield. This is the ultimate goal to achieve. One can truly laugh and smile at life. One can be in supreme bliss and wisdom. Wisdom allows one to see life through a different set of eyes. One sees the beauty behind all things. Even if something terrible shows up, one can see the thread of love tying us all together. I love this story. When Garshin Rinpoche was 22, he was imprisoned by the Japanese for 20 years and put into a labor camp. His roommate was Khenpo Munsel, a famous Buddhist. Garshin said he would have never been given the time of day before being in prison. He was extremely famous, while he was a nobody. Khenpo Munsel was a Nijima master who taught him during the whole 20 years of his imprisonment. During that time, while during the labor camp's hardships, Garshin Rinpoche kept on practicing in secret, according to his guru's instructions, until he achieved the wisdom bind, which Khenpo Munsel called an enlightenment and an emanation of a bodhisattva. Everything is a blessing in disguise. Here's Garshin Rinpoche talking about his experience of spending 20 years in prison. In prison, Khenpo Munsel Rinpoche taught me this: that extent of your realization will be known when you encounter difficult circumstances. You will not know that extent of your realization when things go well. When you find yourself in a troublesome situation, when you're in great pain, when an intense emotion arises, only then will you know when you are at with practice. He added, adverse circumstances reveal your hidden faults. If you're able to hold awareness unwaveringly during such a time, and thus if you're not carried away by the force of the motion, it is a sign that you have gained experience in practice. If you were to practice mindful awareness with great diligence for just a month, if you were to recognize even the slightest thought and not allow your mind to wander off into delusion for that time, even in such a short time, you would witness great changes. Fierce afflictions would not faze you so much anymore, because you would have gained personal experience in observing the illusionary play. There isn't, in fact, just one remedy necessary: mindful awareness. It is the single sufficient remedy that transforms difficulties inside and out. H.E. Garshin Rinpoche. Using the world to define you. The mind is its own place, and itself can make a heaven of a hell of heaven, Satan's paradise lost. Most people define themselves by the outside world. I'm married, have 2 kids, and I'm a software engineer. Most Fortune 500 jobs dictate who you are and your commitment to your job. I live in Kansas City. There's a software company specializing in medical software. They are a multi-billion-dollar company. I once had a job interview with them. Point blank, they said during the interview, "We expect you to work at least 60 hours a week. We don't pay overtime." I told them I didn't come down to earth solely to work. My life is not my job. The job is a part of my life. Companies have their priorities wrong. During this pandemic, millions of people are quitting their jobs. They realize that work balance must be there. Many people realize that the constant treadmill we are on is not worth it. Constant stress leads to illness. Many people can't sleep at night due to stress. You would think that companies would have that realization and change. I had one company that was supposedly one of the best companies to work for in the US. This was during the 80s and 90s. Well, the dot-com burst occurred. They went quickly downhill. Before this, layoffs never occurred. By 2009, over 12,000 people were laid off. The company was profit-driven, not people-driven. Personally, I think that kindness will go far in this world. When a person or company has kindness, everyone will benefit. The world around us can reflect goodness for all. The world will not define you. You will define the world. It's as simple as that. Self-realization is the mechanism for turning this around. You define the world, not the world that defines you. Road rage. You're running late for an appointment and hit a traffic jam. Or maybe someone cuts you off. How do you respond? Driving can be stressful, but feeling angry and behind the wheel could lead to aggressive driving, distracted driving, or even an accident. I first encountered road rage in the 80s living in Miami Beach. I would watch the daily news and see frequent shootings due to road rage. I have a theory. The more a person drives erratically is the condition of his state of mind. One survey found that nearly 80% of drivers express significant anger or aggression behind the wheel at least once over the course of the prior year. The consequences can be serious. Aggressive driving played a role in 56% of fatal crashes over a 5-year period, according to one analysis. 80% is a lot of people. It means the majority of people's minds are under stress and can act accordingly. Our actions are a reflection of our state of mind. We live such chaotic lives. Constant stress is all around us and inside of us. No wonder things are spinning out of control. In some cities, drive-by shootings are the norm. We have completely lost touch with our true nature. things will get worse before they will get better. Most people don't realize they are the cause of chaos in their lives. The mind is spinning out of control. A dysfunctional mind will bring a dysfunctional life. Kids will grow up under this and pass it down to their kids. The cycle will go on and on until we change this. Suppression pushes the event away. I love this quote from Oriel Yushiba, the founder of Aikido. In Aikido, we never attack. An attack is a proof that one is out of control. Never run away from any kind of challenge, but do not try to suppress or control an opponent unnaturally. Let attackers come any way they like and then blend with them. Never chase after opponents. Redirect each attack and get firmly behind it. Events that cause pain or uneasiness, we use suppression to push the event away. Unfortunately, this just compounds the problem over time. We are throwing more garbage in the living room of life. By relaxing and releasing each event, we neutralize the energy. Therefore, we let go of the same samskara inside of us. If we approach this at every moment with a smile on our face, our lives would change dramatically. In the Taoist tradition, positive and negative emotions are associated with internal organs. One of the keys to good health is to become aware of the emotional energies that reside in the organs and to transform the negative emotional energies into positive virtues. Taoists believe that we are all born with the virtues of love, gentleness, kindness, respect, honesty, fairness, justice, and righteousness. The Taoists have an inner smile meditation, which is alchemy for the mind, body, and soul. It is the same concept of relax and release. Many different ways can be used to enhance your state of awareness. Find one that suits you. No experience is traumatic. It is how we handle it. No experience is traumatic. It is how we handle it. I'm going to talk about this conceptually. I definitely am not in this state of awareness. Yet, I can see the potential. Here's an article Michael Singer is talking about getting low-hanging fruit. Low-hanging fruit by Michael A. Singer. So you decide to use life to free yourself. You become willing to pay any price for the freedom of your soul. You will realize that the only price you have to pay is letting go of yourself. Only you can take inner freedom away from yourself or give it to yourself. Nobody else can. It doesn't matter what others do, unless you decide that it matters to you. Begin with small things, low-hanging fruit. We tend to let ourselves get bothered by the little, meaningless things that happen every day. For example, someone beeps you at the stoplight. As these little things happen, you will feel your energy change. The moment you feel a change, relax your shoulders and relax the area around your heart. The moment the energy moves, you simply relax and release. Play with letting go and follow behind this sense of being bothered. Who were you before the disturbance? Let's say someone at work took your pencil, and you notice that every time you go to use another one, your energy shifts even the slightest amount. Are you willing to release the old pencil in order to liberate yourself? This is how you make freedom again. Instead of getting into being bothered, you get into being free. When you reach for a pencil and you see yourself getting a little uptight, let go. Your mind might start saying, it was a pencil today, and if I let go, they'll step all over me. It'll be my desk tomorrow, or my house, or maybe even my husband. That's how the mind talks. It's very melodramatic. But you decide that for the cost of a pencil, you go for the ride. You tell your mind, when it's the car, we'll have a talk. Right now, it only costs a pencil to be free. Just decide that no matter what the mind says, you aren't getting involved. You don't fight the mind. In fact, you don't even try to change it. You just make a game out of relaxing in the face of its melodrama. You simply learn how to release the tendency for getting drawn into that energy. The root is where the consciousness is aware of the pull of these energies. This is one of the games we play here in our group. Make a pact with yourself to dedicate every time you get in the car and traffic slows or someone is tailgating you. Use the experience to free yourself. The second you notice you're closing, don't stay open and do relax and release. The same event occurs in the family, yet everyone has a different experience. The same event occurs in the family, yet everyone has a different experience. Amazingly, the same event occurs to an entire family, and each one will process differently. Families definitely have their dynamics. Some members of the family will hold a grudge their entire life. They will never let go. Even with direct evidence to the contrary, they refuse to let go. Many families have been torn apart permanently with this. They will not speak to certain family members for the rest of their lives. They will say good riddance and cut the communication cord. When you're young, you don't have all the facts or understanding of the issues at hand. An event occurs and you react without knowing all the facts. This goes into your subconscious. Mind you, years later, you hold a grudge from the past. It could be 50 years ago, yet we still hold on to it, just like it was yesterday. For other members of the family, the event came and went out the door of life. They forgot that incident years ago. We all make mistakes. We can learn how to heal ourselves. Our anger for someone is a poison that we drink every day. The other person dropped that event years ago, yet we are still drinking the poison. Stress and adrenaline flood into your body. It brings you back to the same state 50 years ago. The body doesn't know the difference between recalling the event and the event that occurred. We are playing the same tapes over and over again. Each time we play it, the needle is digging a deeper groove in your record of life. I'm not trying to convince you, just saying things that might be true for you.
Have you ever been bitten by a mosquito mind? The mind itches and you are bothered by something. Yet you don't know what it is and you feel all centered. You can't pinpoint what's going on. Did you know that meditation and paying attention to the itch will soothe it away? Meditation will help focus where the itch is. Once you can see it, if you can focus on it and embrace it. Once you embrace it, it will disappear. The Buddhists were the original psychologists. They have been studying the mind ever since Buddha was around. They are experts in positive mental health. Did you know it was only 30 years ago did Western psychologists study positive mental health? We need, as a society, to have a positive mind. How the world would change for the better.
Laugh at life. Laugh at life. If you don't, you'll always have a bumpy ride. The same potholes will be there, yet laughter makes the journey more incredible. Over time, one sees life is a divine video game. As any gamer, without challenges, what's the point of playing the game? Life would be boring if every day is static. Yet mankind hates to change. Even when our life is miserable, we don't want to change for the better. Yet we are constantly chasing the carrot on the stick. We do this for our entire lives. Laugh at life, and life will laugh with you. When I was depressed as a kid, my twin brother would laugh at me. The more he laughed, the angrier I got. At some point, I saw the absurdity of it all. I then started to laugh. Laughter gives one wisdom to see from different angles. My dear friend Mark would make funny faces. Laughter allows a person to think outside of the box. During this global shutdown, laugh daily, smile within. This will keep you sanity during troubled times.
Closing. I hope you enjoyed this book. It includes many tips on the trades in life. We're all in the same boat, sailing home together. We are not alone. We are all dependent upon each other. We are all interconnected. Modern scientists know this to be a fact. Unfortunately, we have not realized this fact. Alchemy and transforming yourselves are in your hands. There is no magic bullet. The world around you won't transform the internal. Only you can transform your internal gardens. Nobody is trying to convince you. The truth needs no convincing. These chapters were different angles where you might want to look at in your life. They may help you someday. One of my main mantras is that the spiritual life is the most practical life. There is no difference between the spiritual and the physical. We just have our concepts. We place our wall between the two. Kindness is kindness. There are no walls that exist between the external and internal. The only thing that is preventing you to see your true nature is the dark clouds that exist inside of you. Simply blow them away. Relax and release in every moment. The wise men and modern day men say the same thing. They may have different terminology, yet the essence is the same. Remember, the more attention you pay to something, the more attention it pays to you. Pay attention to your problems, the more problems will come to you. Pay attention to your anger, the more anger will come your way. Pay attention to the universe, and the universe will pay attention to you. By the way, that's your true nature. That's why alchemy can occur. The operating system, hardware, and software has always been there. Now it's up to you to change your source code and rewire your neural networks. Millions of people are waking up from their slumber.